This week, I was supposed to be posting my Ripfest video for Magic's new set, Avatar The Last Airbender. Well, due to some technical difficulties, I don't have a lot of footage from Ripfest, Avatar The Last Airbender, unfortunately. I have some ripping of like play boosters and stuff like that, but like all the collector boosters and stuff we open, a majority of that footage is just nowhere. I don't really know what happened, but unfortunately that is like a big chunk of what the video is going to be. Now, with last week being Thanksgiving, I don't really have any like vlog footage to show either, so it's kind of scrambling my brain thinking like, what could I possibly post this week? And then it kind of dawned on me that a lot of my followers here may not have been followers on TikTok in like the earlier days of when I was making content. So I thought to myself, this might be a good time to do a Ask Me Anything type of video so people can get some questions answered if they have questions about it, or if they have questions really about anything that I do, whether it be like cards, life, all of it. So I put it out there. I put it on my social media. I put it in my Discord. That way people could ask me these questions anonymously. They don't have to put like a name with it if they don't want to. And honestly, I got some really solid questions from people. So I'm really excited to sit down and actually answer the questions that people asked. And, hopefully you learn a little something about me along the way. Now, the very first question that came in after I posted this link was, is Bon Clay the GOAT of One Piece? And why is the answer yes. I'm going to make this as spoiler free as I possibly can. Bon Clay goes from being kind of like the silly antagonist to being one of the most integral, important parts of the entire show. Between the character growth and just the unwavering loyalty that Bon Clay has for his friends, that truly we should look for in friends ourselves, this automatically puts Bon Clay in the GOAT status for me. You will never hear Bon Clay slander from me ever. And I feel like this is a good transition to the next question here. Who is your favorite non-Straw Hat in the One Piece anime? Now, this is a very hard question for me. There's so many characters that I love within One Piece, but if I'm going like my favorite non-Straw Hat character, and I think honestly my favorite character in the entire series comes from Whole Cake Island, because that is my favorite arc in One Piece, and that is Katakuri. Katakuri as a character kind of hits home for me. Like his story, his character traits, all of it just really like sat with me personally. And it just makes Katakuri in a way relatable. Obviously, I can't turn myself into Mochi. I don't have hockey, but character wise, like his character traits. Again, I'm trying to do this like as spoiler free as possible for people. In the new chapters, I will say Roxy Zebek has shot up into the forefront of my list of favorite characters. And then Rayleigh is also always there. Like, his nickname's the Dark King. That's awesome. Come on now. I wanted to say that my favorite One Piece character is Tashigi, which has been deemed crazy. Well, I was wondering, who is your favorite female Marine in One Piece? Now, favorite female Marine is kind of a very small sample size. I'm caught up through the manga, right? But the anime right now is really on like the backside of, I think, Egghead, if I'm not mistaken. So when it comes to female Marines, there's some of them that are still relatively new to the story. With that being said, my favorite female Marine in One Piece is Doll. If you've played the One Piece trading card game, Doll has an extremely busted card. And again, as I'm trying to answer this question spoiler free for people who are not caught up in One Piece, Doll kind of got that dog in her. I've noticed a decline in One Piece on the channel. Are you done with it, or are you just taking a break from it? Either way, love the channel. Well, I appreciate you still tuning in, even though One Piece has kind of been on the decline for me as of late. My One Piece local nights is on Wednesdays at Monster, and as of late, I've been working a little later on Wednesdays, so it makes it a little more difficult to make it to Monster in time to play One Piece. This, on top of Bandai's like constant power creep, has kind of pushed me away from the game a little bit. Like, for example, I built Red Rayleigh when it came out. Again, I've already touched on Rayleigh being one of my favorite characters. I was super excited about it. I got to play in like 1 or 2 locals with it because, again, I've been working a little later. And now we're in a format where it's just really non-existent. Like, we're in this kind of Emu, Ace, and I guess like Green Zoro, like triangle format, but really it's like Emu and Ace are the heavy hitters. And that was kind of disheartening for me, the fact that Rayleigh was really only good for like a format before it got power crept out of the meta. And building a new deck every release to stay meta relevant is just not a slippery slope that I want to go down, if I'm just being completely honest. And now, as they're trying to get the US on track with Japan when it comes to stuff releasing at the same time, they've made sets a little wonky, and I think Bandai just kind of dropped the ball. I love One Piece as a franchise. I loved playing the trading card game. I thought it was really fun, but I need Bandai to just reel it in a little bit so I can start enjoying the game again. I'm really hopeful that rotation will ultimately fix some of the issues and some of the frustrations that I have. So, we'll see. I guess this is just a long way of saying I'm taking a break for the time being. Do you wish you hit more Pokemon majors? This is like NAIC regional stuff like that. This one's not really like a yes or no answer. It's because it's kind of both. It's kind of yes and no. I do miss traveling and playing the way that I used to, but I really think what I miss is like that time with my friends. And I went to Milwaukee like a few months ago and I had a blast, but I will say I have noticed by the time that Sunday rolls around for these regional trips, I'm just ready to get back home like as soon as possible because I want to get back to Little Walt and my family. The homesickness hits a lot harder than it used to now that I have my son. So yes, I do miss traveling and I would like to go to more majors and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I'm okay with doing it every so often now. I don't miss like the constant grind of traveling, just because, I want to be home with them. How has fatherhood changed the way you look at not just the world as a whole, but how even you look at your day-to-day and hobbies? This is a pretty loaded question. Here in a few weeks, I will officially have been a dad for 3 years now. And over the 3 years, I've kind of learned a lot. I will say the main thing that I've learned is it's kind of put into perspective what I find like most important. And what I mean by that is I kind of had a shift in perspective when it comes to things in all aspects of my life. For example, when I go to an event now, I don't put a lot of weight into how I perform at said event. I'm more there for the experience and to hang out with my friends and just have a good time. If I do well, fantastic. If I don't do well, it's no big deal. I don't really put that extra stress on myself anymore. I just kind of go in and just want to enjoy playing and being at events. And when it comes to that same perspective shift and the day-to-day aspect of life, it's taught me, patience and the importance of kindness, not to sweat the small stuff. And it's okay to slow down and just be in the moment and just be present. I will also be the first to admit that fatherhood has made me extremely, extremely soft. Like I am a teddy bear of my former self at this point. How hard was it to take over Monster's Pokemon League? Well, I've been around Monster for a very long time. So dating back to like my Yu-Gi-Oh days, I used to go and play at Monster. And honestly, Simon ran like a very well-oiled machine. Like he set me up for success every way that he possibly could. So taking over the league was honestly kind of easy. Like I said, I've been around Monster forever. The employees know me. I played there, so I know a lot of like the regulars at Monster, and then I played Pokemon, so it's not like I was new coming into the Pokemon community either. It was just kind of a seamless transition. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was pretty easy. What is your favorite deck you have played and your most successful deck in any TCG? I have played a lot of different trading card games, and that means I've just played a lot of different decks over my time of playing trading card games. I have to say my most successful is probably Art Gigas. It is the deck that I got day 2 with at Knoxville. It is the best I've ever done at a Pokemon Major. I came in top 128 of that event. And yeah, first day 2, the deck felt really good. I went into day 2 6-2 and 1. I was beating Charizard all day, which felt awesome. So I would say that was probably the deck that I had the most success with. A close second would probably be like Arctina. Honestly, like I think I just love Arc Piles. I miss Arceus V-Star very much. But I do have to say, I think my favorite deck of all time is either going to be Goodra V-Star or Blissey V. One of the two. I don't think I can choose between the two, if I'm just being completely transparent. I loved both of those decks. I played both of those decks for a very long time. When Pokemon did the team challenge, I got a spot on Team Monster Games because of Gudra. And now that I'm thinking of it, that was also that was an Arceus pile. That was Arc Gudra is what I played in that event and got onto Team Monster with. I remember hitting Lammers with a double Hyper Potion. It was the nastiest play. And then Blissey V, man, that deck was just a tank. In a room with everybody playing Sobbles, if you started Blissey V, powerful colorless energy, you got to donk Sobbles. It was so good. Blissful Blast, amazing attack. I genuinely enjoyed that deck so much. What has been your favorite event that you have been to and why? Well, I will say that I genuinely love going to Gen Con every single year. It is something that I put on my calendar. I look forward to it all year long. With that being said, it is very, very hard to beat the Pokemon World Championships in Honolulu. Not only was it such a huge sense of accomplishment that I was being recognized by Pokemon and being invited out by Pokemon to show the event from my point of view, but I got invited the same year that a lot of my friends qualified for Worlds either as players or as judges. So it's not like I was just going to Hawaii by myself. Like, we had a large group of us that went. So not only am I celebrating my own accomplishment by going, I'm getting to celebrate all of my friends' accomplishments as well. And even beyond Pokemon, like Hawaii itself did not disappoint. The beaches were just absolutely beautiful, and the landscape in Hawaii was just breathtaking. It was just truly such a beautiful place, and I had such an amazing experience there, and I really want to go back at some point in my life. Whatever happened with you and Lorcana? Well, this is kind of a short answer here. The community in the Cincinnati area wasn't the greatest, if I'm just being completely transparent. Local tournaments were great, but fell off pretty quickly after the release, like between set 1 and set 2. And I think it was like the lack of product and scalping going on that turned people away from the game a little bit. Now, upon the time of release, I had gone to Gen Con and I had bought 4 boxes of Lorcana from Gen Con. And then locally, I was able to get a few more boxes to open. So I had built, I think, like 2 or 3 decks, had them to the side, and then I was selling a lot of the extra stuff and honestly like giving cards away to a lot of people because I was trying to build that community. And when I say I was selling stuff, it wasn't like I was selling at like 90% TCG player. Like, I was throwing deals at people just because I wanted them to play the game. The amount of stuff that I opened had led to a little bit of discourse within the community. I was getting DMs from a few of the local players telling me that I'm a scalper, I'm a bad person, blah, 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 all because I had bought these boxes from Gen Con. I've opened them at Gen Con, and then I also went and bought boxes locally to open as well. And they were essentially saying that because I got to open the stuff at Gen Con, I should have left the stuff locally for everybody else, which I can kind of see in a way that they have a point, right? But at the same time, I was also helping people build decks. So, well, yes, I did take, 2 boxes from somebody that could have bought it locally, but, I went and I waited in line. I waited my turn. I bought 1 box from each store that I visited. I visited some stores that were completely sold out. So, like, I did my due diligence, and I also put in the time to buy those boxes. So I don't really see what the issue was from my end, and I, tried to explain my point, but I think at that point they already had this thought about me, and people are going to think what they're going to want to think. That, and then the crazy power creep between set 1 and set 2, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to wash my hands with this game. I love Disney, but I can't do it. So I went and sold a lot of my bulk, and then, all of my expensive cards to a local store who was running Lorcana events, and they were very thankful that they had this influx of singles. So, it was kind of a win-win for both parties. Do you think you could have done this type of content for Yu-Gi-Oh? For those who don't know, before I played Pokemon, I played Yu-Gi-Oh competitively for quite a few years. And I wasn't great at the game by any stretch. I was like barely average at best. And around this time, I was making a little bit of content when it came to Yu-Gi-Oh 2. But genuinely, I don't think I could have done Yu-Gi-Oh content for the long term of it, simply because I didn't have the support locally that I have with Pokemon, One Piece, and even Magic for the very short time that I've kind of been interacting with that community. My local Yu-Gi-Oh community was very cliquey, and I didn't really have a spot in any of the groups. Like, I would go to locals and everybody was friendly most of the time, and I would talk to a lot of people, but I didn't really have a place or fit into any of the groups that were there. So with that feeling of uncomfortability and not really fitting in anywhere, I don't think that I could have made content the way that I do now with Yu-Gi-Oh for those reasons. What has been your worst experience with an LGS? I don't really want to throw any like local game stores under the bus. There is quite a few that I have pretty good relationships with, and others that I don't, and I don't support them in any way. I don't tell people to not go there, but I don't tell people to go there, and honestly, I just kind of want to leave it at that. I've had really good experiences at stores like Monster Games in Northern Kentucky and Blast Off in Louisville are probably like my two favorite that I go to. But you know, I have had stores that have treated me pretty poorly, and one of them is because I didn't look like I was the type to play trading card games, is the verbiage that was used. Other ones have burnt me for a pretty good amount of money. I have had negative experiences, but I don't like to hang my hat on those negative experiences. I would rather really boast up and push the positive experiences in the stores that I do enjoy. Which content creator has been the biggest inspiration for you? Well, there's really two that I have talked about before that have pushed me to make the style of content that I make. The first content creator is going to be a Yu-Gi-Oh content creator, funny enough. They go by Nim Nim. His name is Gage. I always had an interest in content creation, so when I started watching creators a little more regularly, Gage was one of the ones that I followed immediately, especially like his Yu-Gi-Oh vlog series and his sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh series. I would binge watch his vlogs and the sealed only vlog style content that he did, and I thought it was really cool how he merged trading card game content into like regular everyday lifestyle stuff. And if you watch some of my earlier vlogs too, you will notice some similarities between my vlogs and Gage's vlogs, because I did take inspiration from him. And when I started posting on TikTok more regularly and I started building up a little bit of a following over there, Gage actually started commenting on my videos and followed me, and I just remember being so geeked about it because this was somebody that inspired me to kind of start doing this style of content. So the fact that we were having an interaction, and we'd had multiple interactions after that point too, was just really cool to me. I just never felt like he was putting on an act. His stuff just always felt so incredibly genuine and real, and I appreciated that. The second creator comes from TikTok. His name is Tim. Tim made these very short day in a life style videos, and Tim's videos showed me that you can find beauty in your life everywhere. And I thought that was just so cool because, again, it was just a day in the life of like his typical 9 to 5. Now, his typical 9 to 5 is different than a lot of people's 9 to 5s. He packs a lot in a day, and he's kind of a quirky dude, and I really enjoyed that. And that's where a lot of like the voiceover style vlogs that I used to post came from. It was like copy and paste style content, but I was just making it about my life. And the biggest thing that I kind of realized and I took away from Tim's content is the fact that it didn't really matter what you were doing. People will come back for you. So they don't care exactly what you're posting about or anything along those lines. Like, they'll come back because they like you. And that was a really cool like realization that I have. And that's kind of the advice that I give when people ask me about content creation now. I just tell them like, listen, people are going to come back for you regardless of what you're doing. As long as you can be real and genuine, like that's what people are looking for. So if you are just real and genuine and true to yourself, like people will come back and watch your stuff. I mean, listen, when I started posting on TikTok, did I think I was going to build a following over there? No, I was just posting videos, having a good time. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers on this channel. Did I ever think that this was going to reach that point, especially jumping from short form content to long form content? Absolutely not. But, you know, here we are. I feel like this is a good question to end on. What keeps you going to make great content? First of all, I appreciate the compliment. I really enjoy the fact that people enjoy my content. It makes me feel like what I'm putting out is making an impact, whether that be very small. So thank you. I appreciate that. Figured out that the driving force behind what I do is so community driven. I want people to go out and find their own community. I want people to go to local game stores and play, because right now we're in a time where people are the loneliest that they have ever been. And I'm a huge advocate for finding a community, right? And I feel like trading card games can bridge that gap for a lot of people. At the end of the day, I really just want people to shuffle up and play. I want people to find their community. I want people to find the joy that I have found in trading card games. And I'm hoping that through these videos that I can kind of steer you in that direction and help you find that. And also, like, this is now just a catalog for me to look back on one day when I decide to finally stop doing content, that I can look back on and see all the fun times and just good times that I had with my friends. I'm essentially just making like a video diary. And to go into that a little bit further, the dad lore that is there now, when my son gets a little bit older and, you know, if he goes to school and he ends up liking Pokemon, I can go, you know, your dad went to the Pokemon World Championships in Hawaii, and I have video evidence of that, and I can show him my time in Hawaii celebrating Pokemon. So there's a lot of different driving factors behind it. I feel like for a minute I kind of lost track of my reason why, and I was just kind of spiraling at that point. But after talking to my friends, and I have such a great support system, I kind of found my way back to steering the ship the way that I wanted it to go. So really, at the end of the day, I want people to find joy in something. And I feel like if I share my story, then maybe it will inspire people to go on their own journey and find their own. Okay, that is all the questions that I was sent. If you have any other questions that you're wanting to ask, feel free to ask them below. I would love to answer them for you. I hope that you enjoyed this video and take something away from it. Maybe if it's even just knowing something about me that you didn't know before. And as always, be kind to people, tell your friends that you love them, and I'll see you next time.